If you've ever opened up Procreate and just felt lost, this one's for you. In the next 13 minutes, I'll walk you through the entire app. The gallery, setting up your canvases the right size, brushes, layers, colors, and the gestures that make everything easier and faster. By the end, you'll actually know where everything is. I'm Tiffany with Peachy Designs, and I teach beginners how to create real designs in Procreate. Let's dive in. Okay, we're going to do a quick crash course on Procreate. So if you are new to Procreate, this is going to be really helpful and you will understand just the layout of Procreate, where everything is, how the tools work, and it'll just help you be a lot more comfortable as you dive into Procreate. Obviously, the first thing you're going to do is go to the Apple App Store and you will have already installed Procreate onto your iPad. And once you open Procreate, you're going to be looking at the gallery. So your gallery won't have all of these things when you are first looking at it. These are all things that are going to be individual based on what you've added and what you have, and drawn on yourself. I think that it does have a few things when you first download it. But it's really cool because this is where you can kind of organize into essentially little file folders, different themes. So like, for instance, this was a clip art collection that I had, and I have all of my Varsity Vibes clip art pieces within this one little file folder. And same thing as you go through. So you can just have multiple canvases that are organized into the files. So that's what you're looking at here. The next thing I want to talk about is setting up a canvas. So when you're looking at this, if you look up here at the top, you've got this plus button. And when you tap on that, you're going to have some options will already be populated. But if you'll tap this plus button here, this is where you're going to set up a new canvas. This is really important at this point to think about what you will be creating for your end product. And that's going to help you decide what size you want to get started with. I recommend going ahead and starting a little larger because it is easier to size projects down and retain quality than it would be to size them up. It is important that when you are setting up your canvas, kind of a standard canvas size that I do is 12 by 12. But if you don't switch it over to inches and you just say 12 by 12, 12 pixels by 12 pixels is going to be pretty small. So you are going to want to pay attention to what measurement size that you are setting these to. So 12 inches by 12 inches is just a dimension that I like. 300 DPI is going to provide you with a higher quality resolution file for your end result so that it will be something that you can have printed on products. I really recommend starting higher unless you knew that it was only going to be for web, then you could do 72 DPI, but higher, and then you have it, and then you can always size it down for other projects. Something that's important to mention here are these maximum layers. And if you are not familiar with how layers work, I am going to touch on that just a little bit, but the maximum layers, this is going to vary based on the model of iPad, and it can vary by the size that you have, the space that you have available on your iPad. So if you do not feel like you have enough layers, sometimes having a smaller, like, let me show you, if we adjusted this to 20 by 20, you'll notice that our layers are going down. So that is worth thinking about. If you are running into limitations, you could always size down to say 6 inches by 6 inches on your canvas, and it's going to open up some layers. So again, you're going to want to think through this as you are setting up your canvas to pick what is going to be the best size for your end product. Okay, apparently I can't talk and type and work, so let me change that real quick. So, also worth noting when you were looking at that, the color profile, I think that RGB is going to be great for most of what most people will be doing. CMYK, if you need CMYK, you're going to know that. So otherwise, I would just leave it in RBG. Okay. Okay, so really quickly, you are looking at your canvas. This is where you are going to be working. You have toolbars across the top. You have some over here. These are going to be more your tools that will affect the canvas or your artwork. These are going to be your draw, your smudge, your eraser, layers, and colors. And then here, this is going to adjust your brushing size. This is the eyedropper tool kind of thing, I think is what they call it. But you hold down this square and it'll give you some options. And here will be the opacity. Here you have an undo and a redo button. I don't think you can probably see them, but they are living there. So that's just kind of the overall what you are looking at. You can use your fingers to kind of zoom in, pinch and zoom and move things around. So that is just a quick kind of look at what you're looking at when you first get started. So then I want to kind of go over our actions. Up at the top, you have your wrench, and your wrench is going to be where you are able to import things. You're going to be able to adjust your canvas here. This is where you'll export your images. If you want to have videos, I personally have my time-lapse shut off because that is something that you will have to go in and shut off if you want it shut off. But if this runs on everyone, it just eats through your space a lot. So for me, I just go ahead and shut it off. Preferences, this is where as you get a little more comfortable with Procreate, you can really customize your preferences. And then you have a help center here. So that's just kind of what you're looking at. Here you have your magic wand. And these are going to be the adjustments that will actually affect your artwork. So that's kind of what you can think of as in your magic wand. These things are going to affect the artwork. Next, you have your selection tools, and this is just how you're going to select the things on your canvas to move them around, whether it's part of it, all of it, but all of this lives here in your selection tool. And then you have your transformation tool. So this is going to be when you actually have artwork on here. If you wanted to resize things, move things, it's your transformation tool is going to be the arrow. So it's what's going to kind of let you actually work on your art. Okay, next up you have your brushes, your smudge tool, and your eraser tool. And for your brushes, when you tap on that, this is going to be the same. Your brush, smudge, and eraser, they are going to be the same brushes. It just kind of does a different action when you apply it. Hopefully that kind of makes sense. So we're going to take a look at the brushes. The update for Procreate that happened a little while back is really cool because you have quite a few brush menus. So I want to show you that again. So I tapped on the brushes and then I'm just going to kind of pinch. And now you can see several of these brush menus. You will not see all of these. You will probably see these two, the new Procreate library and the classic Procreate library. These are the brushes that came with Procreate. These are brushes that I've added, some of my favorites that I love working with, and then some brushes that I've made. And this is just going to help you organize your brushes. Something that is also worth noting that you can, let me show you that again. If you have your brushes open and you drag down, now you can search for certain brushes. So if you knew you were looking for the monoline brush, you can just type it in and find it and then click on it. And now you have that monoline brush to use, which is sometimes easier if you don't remember exactly where everything is. So that's a little bit about the brushes. Again, when you are using a brush, here is how you will resize the brush. And then this is where you would adjust the opacity of a brush. So you can't, there you go. You can kind of see it better there. All right. The same thing applies to the smudge brushes and the eraser brushes. And this is just so that you would be erasing Sometimes if you are using a brush that has a little texture, you would want to be erasing with the same brush. Next up are your layers, and this is where things get really fun in Procreate. You use multiple layers, and so tapping here adds layers. And when I think about layers, I think about them kind of like pieces of paper. So you might have your bottom layer, and then you could come in and you could create something on a layer up above it. Drag, put that in. And so you can see now these things live on different layers. You can turn those on and off. You can work on one layer at a time. Layers are just, they are kind of the backbone of what makes Procreate so special. Another thing that is worth mentioning, when you are in your layers window, you can tap on it and you will get more options here. This is going to be actions that you can actually take on your layer. And same thing if you tap on the N button here. This will allow you to make adjustments to blending modes and the opacity of everything that is on a certain layer. So those are just, layers are really amazing. And that's what I was mentioning, that you can have your layers are limited based on certain things that I was going over when we first got started. Last up is our colors, and this is, you have a couple of different options on how you can view these, and you have tons of color palettes. These, you will not see all of these. A lot of these are color palettes that I've either imported or I've created myself. You can look at it from a disc view, which is often how I'm looking at things. Classic, harmony. Harmony is a lot of fun because it helps you select the colors that are going to go best. So like, for instance, this pink color is a complementary color. Did I do that? So you have those on two separate layers. Back to the colors, value, and then back to palettes. So the disc mode just lets you select your colors. And then we will add another circle, not even a true circle, on another layer. Okay, so you can just see how you build out layers, and then you have your colors here and several different options for viewing the colors and working with them. Then I think the other thing that is really cool, there is a ton of gestures that you can use, and I'll show you just a couple. I have a link below the video where you can download the different gestures, but just to go over a few, we grab these layers, you can move them around, and then some of the gestures are like a 2-finger tap is undo. So then 3-finger tap is a redo. If you take 3 fingers, swipe down, you get another menu here. That's your cut and paste menu. There are several different gestures that Procreate has that just are kind of shortcuts to working and navigating. So again, I'll link that below. And that is just a quick overview of Procreate. So that's the full tour. Now you know your way around the gallery, the canvas, the brushes, the layers, and the colors. And don't forget, I have linked the gestures cheat sheet below. There are quite a few that we didn't cover in the video. It's totally free. And if you're ready to learn Procreate, that's exactly what my Procreate Essentials course is for. I'll show you how to create your own designs, even if you can't draw, and then how to get those designs onto real products, even if you don't have any equipment. That's linked below too. If this helped, be sure to like and subscribe. I drop a new free lesson every month. See you in the next one.